The metagame has been solved.
What is this? Gran Maju, it's impossible!
Look closer, my liege.
Well, you have my attention.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. We've taken the past few weeks to do our best to isolate the metagame. Now it's time to dedicate some time to beating it. By exploiting a shared set of weaknesses among the top 4 decks, I'm confident I've built a brew that can stand up to even the most shocking Spiral boards. Presenting Zeroboros Turbo. So here's the list, and if you're thinking it looks a little bit like Grenless Maju, you're most of the way there. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is a one-stop shop for deck building, deck uploading, card searching, and strategy articles, some of which are written by yours truly. I'm proud to represent them, and I encourage any player interested in deck building to go to www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to next leveling. This deck, Danger Scrap Gizmek Zeroboros, or as we'll call it for the rest of the episode, Zeroboros Turbo, is built from both the bones of OCG lists as well as the remnants of Gran Maju. The latter deck, an extremely high-rolling archetype with unbelievable game-grabbing potential, was amazing at stealing games going second, but had one problem in particular: a big honking chonker with no protection and a huge target on his head. What's more, while it played an unreal amount of blowouts in the form of main deck superpolymerization and evenly matched, it lacked a win condition that wasn't extremely telegraphed, a way out against archetypes that resisted both of those answers, and most importantly, a way to find the Gren Gungus in the first place. Our build attempts to resolve the issues with the archetype by taking a few novel approaches to its problems. Firstly, instead of relying on the only searchable by Dogu Gran Maju, this list wins with Topologic Zeroboros, a monster who looms just as large as the orange one-shotter. We can bank on this mass banisher going first or second thanks to a small scrap engine netting us Unreal Link potential alongside a smattering of machine good stuff. Next, unlike OCG builds of the deck, we're playing a sizable danger package that aims to use 8s to make Sanafond. This monster prevents special summoning from the graveyard, something that Spiral and Salamangreat and Orchist all require. Lastly, this deck excels in games 2 and 3. We're playing so much draw power we're likely to see between 12 and 15 cards off the top of our deck, which makes struggling for sideboarded silver bullets that much easier. As an aside, I would like to note we're using an OCG ruling for Zeroboros, so any Americans looking to build this in paper should probably spend their money more productively. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, the Deadly Dangers, 3 Bigfoot, 3 Thunderbird, and 3 Ogopogo, followed by a scrap suite of 3 Recycler, 1 Golem, 1 O-Lion, and a backup machine of Gizmek. Rounding out our monster lineup is an all-purpose removal spell, link material, and combat trick, Eater of Millions. For spells, we're on 3 Allure, 3 Trade-In, 3 Desires, 3 Called, 3 Super Poly, Response Team, and Foolish. For traps, we're on 3 Evenly Matched. In the extra, we've got a poly package of Alarm Duck, Earth Golem, Starving Venom, and Mud Dragon, Exeges of Hope Harbinger, Ding, and Sanafond, and a link package of Zeroboros, Boral Sword, Nightmare's Unicorn and Phoenix, Wyvern, Masquerena, Blocker, and Link Spider for the O-Lion token. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Salamangreat, and you can tell they're playing against me because they've drawn Gazelle in the opening hand. This is the Resonator version that you all demanded I play. Let's see how well it holds up. Our opponent's going first, of course. They're going to lead with a copy of Resonator Call for red Resonator, which they will normal summon to go into a copy of Gazelle. They'll trigger Gazelle's effect to send a copy of Rage to Graveyard before going into Balinks into Sunlight Wolf into Foul. They'll trigger the effect of Sunlight Wolf, they'll activate Sanctuary, go into a second Sunlight Wolf, add back the Rage, set 2, and pass. For turn, we draw a copy of Allure of Darkness. We'll fire that off immediately. Afterwards, going to activate the effect of Thunderbird, and I kind of wanted to hit it, actually. We'll call our opponent's copy of Balinks, and then discard a copy of Bigfoot with our copy of Response Team. They'll chain Rage, and now we can go off to the races. We'll activate Thunderbird again, and we do hit it. O-Lion goes to the graveyard. We'll Pot of Desires, and what do we find off the top but a Gizmek? We'll go into Phoenix, discarding the Gizmek, and then special summon this Eater of Millions and this Gizmek afterwards to make Zeroboros at a healthy 8,000 attack points. We'll attack into our opponent's Foul and pass it back. For turn, they draw a copy of Flame Buffalo. They're going to normal summon a copy of Gazelle and use its effect to send a Spinny. They'll go Balinks into Spinny, at which point I'll activate the Gizmek in the graveyard to special summon itself, and Zeroboros will banish the field. They'll be forced to go to end step, and then in our standby, we'll get our monster back. They'll concede. So that's what the deck is supposed to do. Let's see what happens when it's forced to Shudder. Go second. Our opponent for game 2 is playing Orchist, and unfortunately for us, they're on a blind second build of the deck, playing Dangers and Destiny Hero Malicious. Oh, come on, there's so much cooler things you can be doing with this card. Okay, well, we'll go first. With a bunch of dangers in our hand, I feel pretty confident that we're locked into a Sanafond board, and, ooh, this Allure of Darkness finds a Scrap Recycler. Never mind, let's go into Zeroboros. We'll send a copy of O-Line and go into Scrap Wyvern. We're going to bring back this copy of Recycler, and then special summon a copy of Golem from deck, destroying our Ogopogo in the process, bringing back this copy of Recycler, activating its effect again for Gizmek, and link summoning the big boy himself. We'll pass back to our opponent, who will lead with a copy of Bigfoot. Unfortunately for us, it does summon, discarding a copy of Climax in the process. They'll bring out Dark Greffer and use his effect. Afterwards, we're going to increase the attack of Bigfoot to 38, so it challenges this copy of Zeroboros. Okay, you forced my hand. In main phase 2, they will bring back this Nightmare, and then activate the Grave Effect of Destiny Hero Malicious to link summon a copy of Galati. They'll activate Malicious again, so they can link summon a Long Gearsu, I suppose, followed by a Symbol Skeleton and an overlay of Ding Gearsu. That's going to reattach a material. They'll normal summon a copy of Mathematician, sending a Symbol Skeleton and pass it back to us. Still feeling pretty good. We're going to activate Zeroboros' effect in standby phase. We'll activate Bigfoot, and we hit it. Okay, that's really not what I wanted to see. We'll go for Recycler next, and special summon a copy of Gizmek. We'll go to the battle phase and deal as much damage as possible. That amounts to all but 1950 of their life points. In main phase 2, we will manually trigger the effect of Zeroboros by making a link monster under our opponent's zone and pass it back to them. We get back our Zeroboros in standby phase, but gosh, I wish we were playing under the TCG ruling. I would much prefer it to not be sent with this copy of Ding. They'll send it to the graveyard, then activate Climax's effect, normal summon a copy of Brass Bombard, and bring back this copy of Galati. Oh no, you should not have put Brass Bombard in attack position. I have just the thing for you. At end step, we'll activate the Grave Effect of Gizmek, going down to 3 cards in deck, but notably, our opponent is at exactly the life point total necessary that this single Gizmek attack is going to be lethal. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent is on, what else? Spiral, and Jesus, that's an opening hand. Okay, let's see if we can crack the board. They're going to lead with a copy of Magician's Soul, sending a copy of Master Plan to Graveyard before special summoning and activating Where Art Thou for a Quick Fix, which they will normal. They'll activate Quick Fix's effect for a copy of Last Resort, then 1-for-1 into a drone, stacking the top 3 cards of our deck, and big redding back this copy of Master Plan, adding a Rescue. Afterwards, going to activate Magician's Souls, draw 2 cards, and then activate Barricade Board Blocker and Master Plan's effect, getting a Resort and a Sleeper, and then the Resort for a second copy of Super Agent. Now you're just flexing. They're going to call the top card of our deck and link summon Double Helix, using its effect to get a copy of Master Plan from deck, which they will use to get another copy of Rescue. After that, they're going to go ahead and activate the Grave Effect of Quick Fix, sending the Rescue, and then using Quick Fix's effect for Utility Wire before going into Appaloosa and Recital Starling. That'll add a copy of DD Crow to hand. Afterwards, we're going to use Rescue and Graveyard to bring back Double Helix, activate Quick Fix's effect again in order to get a big red, and link summon a Trigate, a Nightmare Phoenix, and rescue back this copy of Double Helix. They'll set 1 card, then special summon a copy of Sleeper, equip it with a Last Resort, and this is going to be a hard board to break. Okay, well, all broken boards start with Super Polymerization, so let's fire that off first of all. We'll go into Alarm Duck, then activate Pot of Desires. We'll trade in, and I really need this Bigfoot to hit. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It's summoned, and we'll activate Allure of Darkness, firing Ogopogo, drawing into a Bigfoot, which will then get hit, destroying the Resort. Afterwards, we'll link summon a copy of Phoenix, but they can just chain Sleeper while they still control this copy of Last Resort, and we're out of monsters. Okay, well, we could out the board, but we couldn't out Sleeper. That's probably the end of the game. They'll use Spiral Tough to target our set card. I figure they might as well go for it. They'll big red back this Double Helix, and I'll concede. Well, that was miserable. For game 2, I've made the exceptional mistake of allowing them to go first again. I don't know why I thought I'd be this capable going second. I could have just made Sanafont. Our opponent's going to start with a copy of Scrap Recycler, sending a copy of Jet Synchron to the graveyard before upstarting into a Magician's Souls. Must be nice. Afterwards, I'll set a copy of Rescue, special summon back this Jet Synchron, Wyvern into the Scrap Recycler, and then activate Wyvern's effect for Golem and a destroyed copy of Rescue. They'll bring back this copy of Scrap Recycler, sending a copy of Quick Fix to graveyard before link summoning an Appaloosa, and rescuing back the Quick Fix for a big red. After that, they're going to activate the big red effect on this copy of Master Plan, which will add a copy of Assault to hand. They'll link summon a copy of Double Helix, use Master Plan's effect for a Spiral Resort, which they will use to get a copy of Super Agent, and Quick Fix's Graveyard effect in order to get a copy of Drone. They'll activate Assault to normal summon Drone, and eat the top 3 cards of my deck. They're then going to special summon a Master Plan from deck, activate her effect to get a copy of Rescue, Phoenix, Recital Starling, getting the second DD Crow, and Quick Fix's effect in order to get a copy of Wire. They'll link summon a copy of Trigate Wizard, rescue back this copy of Double Helix, go into Sleeper, set 1, and it looks like they have missed the Last Resort in this combo. Well, all we have to do is pop Sleeper then. We'll Allure of Darkness, we'll Pot of Desires, nothing's been negated so far. Ooh, and evenly matched. My theory here is I can get the Sleeper to proc to destroy both of my monsters, and then I can activate evenly matched, but unfortunately they elect to Utility Wire. I'll go for Gizmek, giving them an alluring 2 cards to pop again, but they elect to just Appaloosa it. We'll activate Danger Thunderbird's effect to special summon itself, and then when we go for a trade-in, they elect to Trigate. Well, there's no possible way we can evenly matched here. I'll link summon a copy of Scrap Wyvern, and they'll destroy it with the Sleeper before I concede. So we're back, and I may have been very slightly underestimating the schlongings Spiral is capable of. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. It is the easiest deck to play in the known universe. Even I could handle it, and I'm a person who routinely needs to tab over to a hero guide to remember to activate Vion's second effect. 2. It sees a ton of cards. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to show it off, but virtually guaranteeing you see at least one of your boarded answers is often enough to steal a game on its own. And 3, it's shockingly powerful. This is a format where you're trying to either summon 18 monsters or set 5, and an AOE banish effect beats either half of that metagame. And the cons. 1. Apparently, it can't out-Spiral's God board. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world, but it does mean you'll need to both board for that matchup and to dedicate a ton of slots to finding your answers. 2. It's extremely targeted. While most meta threats won't be able to match up to Zeroboros' Maju Masquerade, there are a ton of almost meta options for whom removing a single monster is trivial. And 3, it loses to a lot of the same cards existing strategies do. If you're hoping to dodge Nibiru and Droll and Lockbird, I have terrible news about what people are playing main deck to counteract Spiral. All in all, it's an exciting deck that just might have legs, but it's so format dependent that you're probably not likely to see it show up anytime after your next regularly scheduled ban list. So that's that. Thanks to my patrons, Protagify, Tyler Slacks, Miko Reichman, Crispy, Sir Tachyon, Emperor Stove, TJ Steakhouse, Pro Yugi Dad, Picnic Blastit, Fighting Fang Wong, Donnie Fillerup, Meatmoto27, Adam Sundquist, Isaac Jackson, Second, Lucas Geardas, Adam Trevino, Adrian Broad, Distrin, and others. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. And if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time!